Hello, I have returned. Look at my hair. My hair is getting real long, but I have too much work to do, so I don't get a haircut. And if it grows any longer, I'm gonna be like a fucking emo bass player. Um. Whoa! Met her on Sunday. See, you see, fucking what this job does to me. You're trending towards the evil bass player in Scott Pilgrim. Thank you. That's very kind. And I'm gonna pick another game from our list here. Let's see, what do we got? This one called Lily's Well. There's the Among Ashes demo. But there's one that, you know what? There's one called This Is Not Your House. And that seems pretty cool. What are people saying? Oh, fuck it. Oh, I've heard of Lily's Well. Do that one. Lily's Well. People seem kind of pumped about Lily's Well. Okay, let me take a look at Lily's Well here. I also really want to play This Is Not Your House, and maybe This Is Not Your House seems to have be only like 30 minutes long, which would kind of be a good length for now. Oh, Lily's Well looks fucking cool. Overwhelmingly positive. Okay, next Monday, Lily's Well. I think for now, we're going to play This Is Not Your House, because that's meant to be 30 minutes long, and it was the developer who, like, put it on the list. So, let's go grab that. Okay, it looks like it's maybe, like, 30 minutes, so we might actually squeeze in two more games. Okay, the very first thing I saw of This Is Not Your House looked kind of fucked up, and I'm excited. Again, chat, no idea what's waiting for us here, but excited to find out. Oh wow, the title screen of this game. Start tutorial dev Twitter. Okay, let's start. Roger always knew if he were attacked, it would happen on the walk from his car to his home. What an absolutely normal thought to have. Very normal altogether. So he readied his house key before stepping out of the vehicle, keeping it ready as he walked to the trunk of his car. Well, there's Roger. He hangs his groceries from his wrists, keeping his fingers free to open the front door without fumbling. As Roger makes his way to the porch, his eyes start darting between the house's corners. He'd read about a young woman being ambushed in her driveway the week before. This is fucking weird and, like, kinda horrifying. He tries to put it out of his mind by counting how many steps it takes him to reach the front door. So, I don't know if I ever told this story, chat. I used to have this morbid fear that a stranger was gonna run up and punch me in the face. I don't know what it was. I was never, like, attacked or anything as a kid. I just always had this fear that a stranger was just gonna run up and just fucking punch me. I don't know why. And about 10 years ago, I mean, maybe about 8 or 9 years ago, I was talking to my therapist about it. And I was like, you know, I've just always had this fucking fear that, like, someone's gonna just run up and, like, just smack me. You know what I mean? I was talking to her about it, and she goes, it's not, like, a very logical fear, though. Like, it's not based on anything at all. Like, this is basically a nightmare your brain has come up with to kind of feed off your anxiety, you know? And I was like, yeah, I guess you're right. And I was kind of thinking about it, and, like, you know, I kind of saw it that way before, but I was like, yeah, okay, maybe I gotta start looking at this logically. Cut to about 5 days later. Me and Michelle used to live near, like, a train station, and Michelle was getting the train, and this was about midnight. And, like, I always like to, you know, walk Michelle or any of my female companions anywhere, like, when it's, like, after 10, because I don't like, you know, if I'm hanging out with a girl, I don't love the idea of them having to, you know, walk places by themselves. And we're walking along the street, and this dude starts running across, like, this massive main road. and he is nearly getting hit by cars. Like, this dude is coming millimeters away from being fucking splatted everywhere. And I'm just watching, like, oh my god, I think I'm about to watch someone die. And finally he gets over, and he gets over to a railing, and he's like, oh, oh, oh. And he looks at me and he goes, I'm sorry, do you have a light? And I go, no. And out of nowhere, he fucking, like, lunges over and just punches me straight in the face. Just full on, like, cracks me in the jaw. And I am so stunned. And I just look at the dude, and my first thought was like, I can't believe this guy got a free shot in, and it was that fucking weak. And I'm just looking at him, and then his friends rush him from behind, and they grab him, and they pin him against the wall, and they're like, fucking stop it! And they're like, okay, whatever this is, I want to get Michelle out of here as quickly as possible. And we both just fucking run. Like, we both bolt out of there. We get back to the apartment, and, like, Michelle is cool as a fucking cucumber this entire time. Like, she's like, yeah, we gotta get out of here. She's like, you know, she's not affected at all. And so we get back to our apartment, we close the door behind us, and then, like, fucking little Michelle's like a tiny little person. Like, she's really small, and she just starts crying, and she's like, I was so scared for you. I was like, it sucked, you know, it was really bad. And, like, it was, you know, it was not a pleasant experience, but you want to know my absolute favorite part of it? You want to know the part that actually made getting punched in the face so worth it? Going into therapy the next week and sitting down in the chair and crossing my fucking legs and looking at my therapist and just being like, well, guess what? And it was so, and she was just like, that is an unbelievable coincidence. She's like, that is one of the strangest things I have ever heard in this room, you know? She was just stunned. People asking, did that cure my fear of just getting punched? Here's the crazy part. It actually did. I was never scared about getting punched in the face again. And even the odd time when I get into situations where I feel like someone's about to take a swing at me, I'm not really, like, nervous or anything. I'm kind of just like, all right, you know. And granted, 5 years of jiu-jitsu and has helped with that, you know. But, like, yeah, it's one of the weirdest things that ever happened to me. I don't think it's good that dude punched me. Like, it's not good, because if he had, like, I think he really could have traumatized someone else, and that's really fucked up. He was definitely, like, on something, you know what I mean? But it completely removed the fear from me. Like, I just wasn't ever scared again, and it's your therapist secretly staged the entire thing. I mean, if she is, I was not paying that woman enough, you know? But the final gamer always has a plan. Yeah. Anyway, that's my weird story about a time a guy took a random swing at me. Let's play this horrifying game by counting how many steps it takes him to reach the front door. But he can't stop listening for the sound of someone rushing towards him. This is me. There is a gentle breeze and the white noise of distant traffic. Roger assures himself he is right to remain vigilant. It only takes a split second for someone to get the drop on you. This dude's inside my head. I'm just going to turn down the music sound volume effects. Beat volume. It only takes a split second for someone to get the drop on you. Steady with the key now. Smooth as fast. Roger's key slides in on the first try. It won't turn. Roger removes his key and inspects it. It's engraved with a large H, definitely the correct key. Roger tries the key again. Locked, jammed, maybe. Roger takes a step away from the door and scans the area for suspicious persons. He sees no one. He releases his grasp on the key and leaves it in the lock. He drops his grocery bags on the porch. He tries furiously to turn, pull, and push on the key and door handle every which way. Without success, Roger hears something inside. A shadow passes by the window. It looks like someone's silhouette through the curtain. Roger pounds on the door. "Open up this instant! The police are en route!" The door unlocks from the inside. "Can I help you?" "You can start by getting out of my house!" Homeowner: "This house does not belong to you." Roger: "Check the deed, lady." Homeowner: "A deed is only a piece of paper." What? Roger: "One that proves that this house is my property." Homeowner: "Personal property is a social construct." This is a fucking nightmare. This is touching off several different kinds of anxiety that I didn't know I had. Those who inhabit a space own it. Let her have the house. Take back my house! Roger: "I have a rotisserie chicken cooling off out here. I'll be eating it in my dining room before it's room temp." The homeowner attempts to shut the door on Roger. Roger swiftly jams his foot between the door and its frame. He presses his face into the gap his foot provides. "I don't think you heard me." This is horrifying. Roger shoulders the door wide open. The homeowner is knocked back into the kitchen. "You forgot your chicken." "Get the chicken. I'm gonna stand my ground." Roger: "I'll get it when you're gone." Homeowner: "Be sure not to leave too often, Roger. I have a habit of roosting in untended spaces." I don't know what this isn't social anxiety horror. This is something else. Roger hears a car start up right outside. He looks out the window to see what's going on. The homeowner waves from the driver's seat of his car and disappears down the road. It can't be. Roger whirls around. The homeowner is no longer in the kitchen. He proceeds to clear the house, room by room, until he is sure she's gone. Roger spent the next few days gathering up every trace of the homeowner's presence and passed it on to the authorities. Dollies, table runners, oiled drape runners. Oiled drape runners is absolutely a Twin Peaks thing. Candles. It seemed like she'd lived there for years, leaving things in odd places only so someone familiar with the space would. It took Roger an additional half day just to rearrange the furniture. Thankfully, she hadn't moved it in her own. Then there was nothing left for Roger to do, except his grocery shopping. He decided to have his groceries delivered by a boy from the neighborhood for a while. He didn't want to leave the house alone. He started to feel silly about it after a few weeks. Police couldn't locate his missing car. He bought a junker so he could handle his errands around town. Roger didn't notice the walk from his car to his house anymore. The only thing that worried him is whether or not he could turn his key when he got home. A shadow passed by the window. That was cool. That was just like a really fucked up short story. I want to play again and I want to do different shit this time. Let's get back to that bit. Oh, there was a way to skip stuff. Let her have the house. Keep the house. I'll take my car and head down to the station. Homeowner: which car is that? Roger: the one I pulled up in? Homeowner: I didn't notice. Roger: the only one sitting in the driveway? Homeowner: but sir, that's my car. What in the hell? Ha! Oh, that's so fucking weird. Roger turns around just in time for the car he calls his own, reversing into the street. He sees the homeowner wave from the driver's seat and disappear down the road. Here, let me help you with that. Roger tries to run after his car, but the homeowner grabs hold of his shirt. There's two of them. Oh, that's fucking weird. She slips it off with one deft sweep. Oh no. Roger spins around, trying to grab hold of his button down. He feels goosebumps forming on his arm as his nipples harden. Okay.
That's right, boys. Mondo cool.
Extra super Kamiguru? I don't know that is Mondo cool. Thank you for the subscription. Roger, give me my shirt back. Homeowner, no need for these either. The homeowner grabs the hem. No. What is this? What is happening? And yanks backwards, knocking Roger flat on his back. The homeowner quickly slides off his pants and remaining articles on his person. John, what are you streaming? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know whether to click onto the next thing. Okay. Guys, I'm gonna click onto... I don't want to show something that people aren't in for here, so... Roger lies dazed with his head pounding from the collision with the porch. He can hear the sounds of rustling fabric and crinkling plastic bags. It's still the same image. It's still the same image that was on screen before. Roger wraps his arms around his head and groans. Roger, please, not my chicken. The homeowner gathers Roger's things. Okay, I think we're actually okay. I think she just took his shit. The homeowner gathers Roger's things, glides into the house, and slams the door shut. Oh, poor Roger! Roger pulls himself to his feet. This is an actual nightmare. He cups his genitals in his hands and tries to keep warm. He shakes from the cold. Break down the door, wait her out, seek shelter, find help. I'm gonna wait her out. Roger was not one to bully others or be bullied himself. He strode resolutely on his porch like any respectable citizen would. He spent the first few hours hollering and pounding on his front door. As it grew late and cold, Roger began to lose feeling in his extremities. His pounding became limp and inconsistent. His hollers turned to hoarse whispers. He became warm and a bit drowsy. Roger reasoned it was best to get some rest and resume his valiant opposition to the morning. Morning did not come for Roger. He sat on the porch, curled up and nestled his head against the front door. It was the comfiest and sleepiest Roger had ever been. The homeowner discovered Roger at dawn and called the police. Cause of death was determined as hypothermia. He was tagged as John Doe and placed in a morgue to await cremation. Roger's final moments were warm and he was not afraid. End credits. Wow. That was fucked up. I say we go for one. We do one more playthrough. I want to take back my house this time, because there was another option when we got in the house, right? I'll get the chicken. Roger turns around to collect his groceries. He sees someone analogous to the homeowner devouring his rotisserie chicken. This is so fucked up. The homeowner behind Roger grabs a paring knife. The homeowner clamps a hand over Roger's mouth and shoves the blade into his back. Jesus. Roger tries to bite the homeowner and break free. Her hand remains firmly clamped over his mouth. He can taste the tang of her blood with an unexpected acidity. The homeowner gently lowers Roger to the floor. Roger tries to get up, but grows weaker as blood pumps through his heart and out his back. The homeowner keeps him pinned to the floor and presses down to strain his breathing. Roger grows tired and slips away into a calm, reassuring dark. The homeowner's analog grabs the grocery bags and carries them inside. It sets the bags on the floor and steals a glance at Roger. Homeowner's analog, we have plenty to eat tonight. There may even be enough in the freezer. We'll need to dress and quarter it to see how much there is. Now close the door. I won't tolerate a draft. The homeowner's analog grabs the door and throws it shut. The goings on in the house safeguarded by from the eyes of prying neighbors by a door and some drapes. End credits. Jesus Christ, this is fucking morbid. Okay, I want to do one more and then I'm going to call it a stream. Let her have the house. I'm going to break down the door. Roger is a strong man, but not strong enough to break down a door with his bare feet. So instead, he takes a swing at the door's windows. He feels something warm and slippery pour down his arm as he fumbles with the deadbolt. He manages to get a grip on the lock and slides it open. Roger opens the door and shuffles inside. He hears a heavy footsteps coming from the floor above. The steps indicate the homeowner is headed for the stairs. Shit. Had she found his shotgun? Roger only had a moment to act. Hide and ambush. Roger wasn't sure he could make it to the kitchen and back before the homeowner reached him. He pressed himself against the corner wall at the bottom of the staircase, hoping to remain out of sight. The homeowner's heavy footfalls make it easy to follow her movements. Roger sees the barrel of his shotgun slide through the entryway. He grabs hold of it and rushes around the corner. The homeowner falls back on the stairs. Roger yanks the gun away from her with his good hands. The homeowner stares at Roger and tries to sit up. Roger brings the butt of the shotgun down on her face. He presses down, grinding and twisting into her. Her smile peeks out at him from around the gun stock. She reaches for the trigger. Roger pulls the gun away from her and brings it down on her face. He does it again and again and again. Jesus! Relentlessly fragmenting and distorting her features into a puddle. He was satisfied when he could no longer see her eyes. The police arrived shortly after. A neighbor called 20 minutes earlier due to the sound of breaking glass. Roger's defense team could not adequately explain the circumstance leading to him viciously beating an unarmed woman to death in his home. A woman police were never able to identify. Due to the excessive facial and dental trauma, missing fingerprints, and a lack of documentation, the jury found Roger Cormack guilty of first-degree homicide. That's so fucked up. The prosecution convinced jurors that Roger had kidnapped the woman and killed her when she attempted to escape his home. Roger, now an inhabitant cell on death row, awaiting lethal injection. End credits. God damn, that was cool. Let's rank that shit. Okay, so what was it called? This Is Not Your House? Does This Is Not Your House beat Little Goody Two Shoes? I am sorry, Little Goody Two Shoes fans. For me, in terms of pure horror, that was a fucking nightmare. I loved that. Yeah, I think it does for me. Does This Is Not Your House beat Mucorellis? I think it does. I think I preferred it. I whatever the fuck that was, I loved it. Does it beat Hollow Body? I'm gonna say it. I think it beats Hollow Body as well. I thought that was such a blast. Does This Is Not Your House beat Faith? That is a close one for me. That is really tough. The trilogy or just the first? You see, that's the thing. I'm really only talking about the first episode. We are going to go back and play more Faith. Faith is so much bigger though. Yeah, Faith is really fucking cool. Oh. Is this just ranked by how spookified John was while playing them? Yes. Pretty much. Well, you know, we're ranking it as horror, but there's a lot that goes into that, I think. Oh. I do think maybe the slightness of This Is Not Your House, like Faith and Mouthwashing, are kind of more fully formed experiences. I think if This Is Not Your House had maybe gone on for an hour and built on the horror that it presented there, then I think I could comfortably push it above Faith. First thing I'm gonna fucking do is follow that dev on Twitter and follow the artist. I want to see more of what those fucking lunatics can do. I think number 3 is a good spot for This Is Not Your House. So yeah, its slightness stops it going further. But I fucking love that game, chat. I thought that was so good. Okay, one I'm kind of curious about is there's a gothic horror visual novel called It Paints Me. And that was one of the ones with the absolute most likes on the Twitter. Does anyone know what this game is? Yeah, because this one had like nearly 300 likes on the Twitter thread. It's not the most popular game. That's another game that we'll get to. But, you know what? Fuck it. I think let's just play It Paints Me. I think I want to do a visual novel. It does also look kind of beautiful. Okay, fuck it. Yeah, let's go. Okay, here we go. This game contains themes and depictions of violence, death, body horror, chronic illness, grief, and dysfunctional relationships. Oh, jeez. Every night, I find myself alone in the studio, curtains drawn tight, my neat row of paints, palette, and brushes in the same place on the drawer by the easel. The canvas upon it sits, as always, unfinished, Mary's half-painted face frozen in a silent song. Oh, it's laid out, as it always is when I awaken here. Mary is nowhere to be found. Could she really be in that town? She must still be at the theater. Even when the curtains fall and the stage lights dim, the night is forever young and its star forever young to its star sopranos. I would always wait outside her dressing room, rose in hand, scores of other bright-eyed admirers spilling through the halls, though she alone was mine, and I was hers. It's cold, bitterly cold tonight, and I still draw the curtains and open the windows wide. There's a stench in this room, deep and damp and sickly sweet, that I can't ever seem to be rid of. Besides that, the fumes from the linseed oil make my head spin. Like every night, I measure out my paints, arranging the small dabs of colour on my palette from the lightest to darkest. Titanium white and cadmium yellow to corpse brown and lamp black. I wet my brush with oil and gently start mixing the pigments. It feels just a little bit magic, watching them swirl and mix, forming new colours from old. I paint her hair, I paint her face. Oh, interesting! I like this, Okay, I'll paint her face. I mix a tone as warm as her cheeks as I envision Mary's sweet face in my mind's eye. Her lips like roses, the graceful turn of her nose, those eyes that glittered like stars under the candlelight. It's no use. I can't focus. Her features are blurred in my mind as the mess of oil and pigment smeared across my canvas. I sigh and scrape it off with a palette knife and mix a deep blend of black and red for the background instead. I apply my paint with a generous dab of oil, but it seems I didn't have to. The canvas is still wet from last night and the night before. I must have painted and repainted the same background countless times. To say it's difficult to paint by lamplight, my muse nowhere in sight, is an understatement, of course, but lately, these nightly hours are the only time I find myself able to lift my brush. I stop every few strokes. I had joked that the pain that forced me away from the tailor's shop meant I could finally return to my paintings, at the very least. I was never any good at humour. Mary had sensed my worries, consoled me sweetly in her voice that could charm stone to
Oh,
life.
Sam, don't worry. I have roles lined up for months. Go ahead and paint. We can still live comfortably.
That voice is so familiar. It hurt. A small part of it did, beyond the physical, beyond the ailments. To seek her permission. To be unable to care for my darling and the way I had when we were young, brimming with talent but crushingly unknown. Well, she had been. I was, and still am, nothing. But perhaps finally it would now be my turn to bring my world vision to the world. If only it didn't hurt so damn much. Time passes and I still don't manage more than a few strokes, a small patch of dark over an already wet canvas. This is a very accurate depiction of trying to draw and not being able to. Or perhaps time hasn't passed at all. The broken clock on the wall would suggest as much. Perhaps the seconds have lain still, the world outside unchanging, and I, the only thing that moves. Have I moved? Is repeating the same brushstrokes like a clockwork doll movements? I shiver and sigh. Perhaps sleep would be a better endeavour. Perhaps the night will meet more success. I stand, setting aside my paints and palette, and slowly move to shut the windows. I stop. There, out in the front garden, barely lit by a street lamp, stands a figure that can only be Mary. She bids goodbye to another figure, tall and broad-shouldered, and then she laughs, a beautiful laugh, a heartfelt laugh, and embraces him before he makes his reluctant exit on a carriage stopped by the gate. Oh damn! Mary be stepping out! For a moment, I don't know what to think. A friend, a co-star perhaps, that affable tenor, that amiable tenor she mentioned every now and then. I didn't see his face, but Mary's social circle has always eclipsed my own. It must be, but why would he come to our home? Why would she laugh that way? Fuck! Okay. In the garden, in the midst of walking to the front door, humming to herself, Mary suddenly finally looks up. For a moment her eyes go wide, and she blinks as if she's shaking to herself from a daze. I instinctively step back from the windows. Perhaps it's guilt that makes me do so. Mary is finally home, and oh, I've missed her so. How could the first thing I think about seeing my darling be the worst thoughts my mind could conjure? For the first time in many, many nights, I feel just well enough to leave the studio. I'll prepare Mary a pot of her favourite chamomile tea. I'll listen as she tells me of the nights in the theatre, the 1,000 small anecdotes she never runs out of, and maybe, just maybe, ask her again to sit for a portrait. Like she used to. Oh, this relationship. Guys, I don't know. I don't know that these kids are gonna make it, personally. The house feels larger than it used to. Perhaps I was shut in the studio too long. How could I so quickly become a stranger in my own home? The memories are fuzzy. The years blur together like a wash of oil colours. My mother and I carrying our sparse luggage, stepping inside for the first time. My stepfather laughing, his elbows on the breakfast table, chattering over something he'd read in the paper. Then silent hallways and empty rooms. And then myself welcoming my new bride to these solitary halls, hanging our newly taken portraits above the mantel. The walls are barren now. I feel the walls in the dark, leaving... Is he dead? Is he dead? Leaving sticky trails of paint behind, tracing the places where I used to hang. The photographs, the paintings. The paintings I'd frame, the seaside landscapes I'd painted on our honeymoon, the watercolor sketches of Mary that I couldn't help but capture the sheen of her hair. The still life of candles and flowers that wilted because I took too long to finish. Even the painting of the roses in the vase, the first gift I had ever given to her.
I wanted to bring you some flowers, but I was afraid they would wilt before I saw you next.
You painted them. Oh, they're beautiful, Sam.
The naked walls stare blankly at me. Confused, but with nowhere else to go, I continue through the house. As I walk, I pass the furniture my stepfather left me, the shelves and tables that always seemed so large and grand as a boy, but now missing mantled of with thick white linen. They remind me of corpses on hospital tables, lying dead still, covered in sheets. Mary? I try to call out, but phlegm blocks my throat. I cough, long and drawn and wet, and then once more attempt to voice her name. Mary? It slicks off my tongue like a serpent uncoiling. I had always loved her name, so tender and sweet, free of harsh syllables. Mary. It was the name of an impressionist floor, painted in soft strokes with a fine oil brush. Guys, I don't want to alarm you, but I think this dude might be a fucking simp. Just saying. Just saying. It was the greatest joy in the world to join my name to hers. Silence fills the halls, a long drawn-out silence, a held breath. Finally, my darling answers.
Sam. Is this a dream?
I mean, I get it. I get it. I cough again, another long wet trail dripping from my lips. Is it a good
dream, darling?
I don't know. It feels like a nightmare. An awful, wretched nightmare.
I limp towards the sound of her voice, so musical, so lovely, even at the brink of tears. Don't cry, darling, I want to say, but a thick, syrupy liquid fills my throat. Jesus! No matter what troubles you, I am here. She stands at the edge of the staircase, shaking, a candlestick in hand. The steps are sticky and wet. I inch carefully, practically a crawl, not to slip. My darling lifts the candles as I approach in the dark of the house. Its flickering flames almost blinds me. I don't see the expression on her face as she screams.
Marie? Where are you, my darling?
Every word feels like a dagger puncturing my throat. I limp down each hall, leaving a trail of steps that feel damp and heavy, slick and wet. I try the door to our bedroom. No, Mary's bedroom. I had started sleeping in the spare one when my coughing fits would wake her at night. It was cold, so cold alone, but my darling needed her rest. The knob is slick and hard to twist, my hands slipping on the brass. Finally, I manage to push the door open. Though it's completely dark when I peer inside, I know it's empty. No warmth, no flesh, no sound of sweet breath within. I continue down the hall. I trudge, my steps heavy and wet, trying not to slip over the thick, slick... This is pretty cool. Okay, I'm enjoying this.
Marie, what's wrong, darling? Please come out. I don't understand.
Oh, I think I might, buddy. The dining room is empty, truly empty. The shelves where the china and silverware were now neatly stacked, gape hollow. The walnut table is covered in a thick white sheet. The matching set of chairs removed. I rest against the blanketed table. My hand leaves a ruddy smear against the sheet. It must be more paint, though it's hard to make it out in the dark. I needed spectacles for quite some time, but Mary had never liked the bookish type. I continue on through the familiar yet unfamiliar house, my steps strained and slow, my breath short, sticky, wet.
Marie! Where are you? Oh, Marie! It hurts! Won't you come to me?
I hear the front door slam shut. It must be freezing cold out. Why has she gone to the garden? I tread to the south with new urgency, uncaring for the sticky, wet floors, forgetting for just a moment that the pain that snaps and burns through my flesh. I reach for the oily, damp knob.
Don't! Sam! Please!
Her voice rings from behind the
I
door.
don't understand, darling. Have I done something to upset you?
Her sobs echo loudly. I never thought such an ugly sound could come from my darling's lips, but her words...
I love you, Sam. I always will. But I can't bear to see you like this. Please, I beg of you, return to where you came. You can't be here.
I called it.
On now.
Dude's absolutely dead.
What? Return where? Dearest, you aren't making any sense. Moved on? I'm your husband, Marie. What on earth is there to move on from?
Please remember, Sam. You were ill. You were ill for a long, long time. And you never recovered.
I know I'm unwell, Marie. But you said we would still... Are you leaving me? Because I can't care for you anymore? Is that it?
You left me. You're dead, Sam. You've been dead for more than a year.
If this is a joke, darling, it's a cruel one. Do you want me dead? Is that it? Am I better off dead to you?
My darling does nothing but sob behind the door. How quickly I regret my words. Oh, if only I could see her face, look into her eyes, reassure her, and see that she loves me still. I twist the knob, with slick, oily hands.
No! Don't come out! Please!
On the other end, with a sharp gasp, my darling grasps the knob close, pushing the weight of her small frame against the wreathed wood.
Come out!
Okay, listen, if I'm the ghost in this scenario, I'm walking away. A lady doesn't want to be around me, I'm gonna respect that. But for the sake of the stream, I feel like the only reason... we kind of gotta force the door, just see what happens, okay?
No. Not until you tell me what's going on. Are you leaving me, darling? After everything?
Oh dear.
I need you. I need you!
My darling utters a sharp cry as the hinges groan against the frame, loosening her grip as she stumbles back onto the cobblestone path. I instantly forget her sharp words as I limp towards her side.
Marie, are you alright? I'm so sorry.
Stop it, Sam. I'll keep you alive. Every time I sing, I'll sing for you. I'll keep you in my song, in my art.
Oh, but it hurts. Her shrill voice grates that against the ooze spilling forth from my ear.
It hurts. It hurts!
My head rings, my chest is a hollow cavity, slippery and wet, flowing with hot, sticky fluid. I cough and spew. Okay, he's absolutely not a ghost. He's a fucking zombie.
Your art, it was always about you. Your fame, your voice, your needs, your wants, your desires. You were a work of art, of course, but did you ever think about me? Did you ever think about poor Sam, dying alone in a cold, white room? Poor Sam, who couldn't even hold a brush in his hands at the end. Poor Sam, left to rot into nothing. A year was all it took for you to forget me.
I am shaking her, leaving smears of dark, muddy paint over her pale shoulders. Fuck, dude. The next moment, she breaks from me, running blindly into the street. The carriage doesn't stop for her. Of course it doesn't. My dearest wisp of dark curls, a black gown billowing in the night's shade. She should be light as a breath, soft as mist. Fuck! Oh, that's cool. But the song that comes is the scream of her breaking bones, her ripping flesh, the breath that leaves her lungs.
Ha! But every sound my darling makes is beautiful.
Oh, Sam, buddy, come on! I scoop her mass of flesh and deep crimson hair in my arms. Jesus! Her blood pools around me, syrupy and dark, a colour so deep no artist pigment could hope to capture, the purest scarlet or vermilion red, a dull stain in comparison. It is not Sam that I see staring back in the deep pool of our blood. That is fucking cool. My darling is a lovely creature, even broken. That is some sentence. I gently carry her up the steps, one slick, damp, crooked step at a time, setting her mass of jutted bones of viscera and flesh on the velvet seat in my studio. The fabric soaks it deep, so very deep. It's dark, as it is every night. I leave the lamps unlit, the windows shut tight. How strange that stench of linseed oil ever bothered me. After all, I can no longer breathe. My darling sits still, ever so still, not a breath escaping her broken flesh. What a lovely model. Oh, what a wonderful thing.
All the more beautiful now that it surely hurts to sing.
Icon of agony.
Oh, it is agony to hold a brush. It always does. But I can bear it. After all, who can truly create without pain?
Jesus. Ending 1. Muse. That was pretty fucking cool. I think that kind of, like, it took a little while to get going, but it got there. It told a fun little weird gothic horror story. Now I'm gonna say that maybe friends, that's a pretty good cautionary tale about just leaving a lady alone if she doesn't like you. You know what I'm saying? That was fucking cool. Let's bring it to the ranking. Okay, it paints me. I get it. Cool game. I liked it. So okay. Does It Paints Me get on our list and beat Little Goody Two Shoes? And I will say, for me personally, I think I found Little Goody Two Shoes a little more unsettling in general. I love the horror, like the kind of gothic horror shit that was going for. I did really enjoy that. But no, I don't think it quite peaks Little Goody Two Shoes. It's still a really cool game. If people want to get the other ending, you know, that game was free. You can just play it, and I thought it was really cool. So we're going to drop it in the unranked section of the list. It Paints Me. We salute you. Good game. So yeah, that's gonna do it for today's stream, guys. That was we found some awesome horror games. The lower part of our list has been blitzed. I hope you guys enjoyed them.